Behind them, the market became a scene from the worst kind of nightmare. Blood pooled in the dust. Bodies lay twisted in positions no living person could achieve. The screaming gradually faded as there were fewer and fewer people left to scream. After minutes that felt like an eternity, the darkness vanished as suddenly as it had come. Daylight flooded back, harsh and blinding after the unnatural twilight. The sun returned to its proper place, as if it had never left, as if the last few minutes had been a collective hallucination. But the market told a different story. Bodies littered the square, over 100 of them, maybe more. Blood soaked into the red dust, turning it into rust-colored mud. The smell hit like a physical force. Copper and worse things, the smell of death that would haunt the survivors' dreams for the rest of their lives. The few goats that hadn't broken free stood in their pen, trembling. Chickens that had survived huddled beneath overturned carts, silent for once. Even the flies, ever present in the heat, seemed hesitant to approach. The market was silent. Just bodies and blood, and the slow realization that everything had changed and nothing would ever be the same again. The hours after the massacre passed in a blur of shock and grief. Word spread quickly through the outlying areas as the 4 survivors split up, each heading in a different direction to warn others. Fear traveled faster than any messenger could run, passed from mouth to ear, growing and mutating with each retelling until it was hard to separate fact from panicked embellishment. Marlin found an old man sitting outside his small home, enjoying the afternoon sun. The man looked up as Marlin approached, taking in his wild eyes, his heaving chest, the way his hands shook. "What happened, boy?" the old man asked, concern creasing his weathered face. "Did you see the darkness? Must have been a storm rolling in. Weather's been tricky lately." "No." Marlin's voice came out flat, hollow, scraped raw. This was no storm. This was a curse, a spirit. It came from the sky and it killed them. Over 100 people in the market. Just killed them. You need to tell everyone. Lock your doors. Stay inside. I don't know if it'll help, but... His voice broke. The old man stared at him, disbelief warring with the obvious terror in the young man's eyes. A curse? A spirit? Boy, you're talking nonsense. You're mad with grief or sun-touched or... But Marlin was already moving, already running to the next house, compelled to warn as many as he could, even as his mind struggled to process what he'd witnessed. The old man watched him go, then looked toward the village center. He couldn't see the market from here, but he could see the birds circling. Lots of birds. Vultures, probably, more than usual. His stomach twisted with the first threads of real fear. Minutes turned to hours. As the sun began its descent toward evening, people whose relatives had gone to the market that morning made their way there, driven by desperate hope that maybe the rumors were exaggerated, maybe their loved ones were alive, maybe everything was fine. They found the scene of slaughter. Bodies lay where they'd fallen, already bloating in the heat. Blood had dried dark and thick in the dust. The smell was overwhelming. Death and fear and copper, so thick it coated the throat and made breathing an act of will. A woman collapsed immediately, wailing, a sound of grief so profound it seemed torn from her very soul. She'd found her husband and 2 children, all 3 dead, all 3 twisted into positions that would haunt her until her own death years later. A man staggered to the side and vomited, his body rejecting the horror his eyes were forced to witness. When he finished, he simply stood there, staring at nothing, mind broken by what he'd seen. Others moved through the carnage in numb silence, checking faces, searching for their people, praying they wouldn't find them, and terrified they would. "What could have done this?" someone whispered, voice shaking. "A spirit," another replied, the word heavy with dread. "It has to be. This is no earthly thing. No animal, no man could..." The speaker trailed off, unable to finish the thought. A curse, an elder muttered, shaking his head slowly. The Watchers have awakened. Old Abby warned us. Years ago, she said they'd come again, and we didn't listen. We never listen. The Watchers? A younger man asked. What are you talking about? But the elder just shook his head and walked away, muttering prayers in a language most of the villagers had forgotten. One of the women who'd come searching for her sister suddenly stiffened, her whole body going rigid. Her eyes rolled back until only the whites showed. The baby she was carrying began to scream as she dropped to her knees, then pitched forward into the dust.
Subscribe to this channel or follow this page to get notifications for more captivating episodes of Whispers of the Bound, the Vengeful Spirit of Apocalypse series.